I'm in the passenger, the driver's right here. My mom, the pastor, my sister, and the pastor's behind me. So they hit us, and we're just, everybody screaming. Mom is screaming, Jesus, Jesus. The pastor's screaming, Jesus, Jesus. Karen's like, I don't know what Karen's doing, but she's I don't know what Karen's doing, but she's like, I'm pretty sure she's screaming. And I'm just like the way I'm feeling is like, I should have been, like, it's like my life flash forward. I've never had this in my life. It hits me, everything that goes slow. And I look to the right, the airbag and the driver, his goes up, and I see him getting covered with the airbag, like how you imagine. Me, it doesn't come up. I'm just like, that was it. And then it finally comes up. And think of a balloon, when you blow up a balloon and you deflate it, that's what it comes. It doesn't even touch me. It just comes up and it hits like a force, because you can tell there's an indentation in the middle. So it hits that, it deflates. And I yell, I'm good, guys, I'm good. So I thought they were yelling because they thought I was dead, because they hit me square on. So I was like, I'm good, guys, I'm good, right? So we end up spinning around like a tornado. We should have tunneled, right? And luckily there's no cars coming from the back. And it's all dark. It's not really that many streetlights like that, you know? So luckily there's no car coming behind us. So we're spinning, and we end up on the other side of the sand, perfectly parallel parked. This blue van, I look to the right, they're perfectly parallel parked next to us. Almost like we just parked cars. That's our Jeep. The white Jeep takes off. Like I said, the guy tries to run away. They end up catching him, thank God. But for me, I started going crazy. I'm like, everybody just runs to the car and yelling, they're dead, you killed people. But I ended up coming out the car and they're like, how you guys live? How you guys survive? How you guys? They're so surprised, right? I look over to the blue van, there's people coming out. The guy, they had like their phones out, flashes. So the guy, I looked at his face, his whole skin was off. I just saw straight bone. And then there was blood everywhere in their car, but all ours were fine. I was like, oh, we're good. That was crazy. And so we ended up waiting there for a while. We ended up getting another taxi. On the way to the hospital, I just felt like the Lord was like, hey, pray for your mom. I was angry. I was like, God, what do you like? I was angry. But I was like, just pray for your mom. So I prayed for my mom a little bit. Like about 2 minutes later, she just shows out, ooh, my neck feels bad, like I popped or something. I feel like a warmness. And I just felt like, did he heal it? It's like that. Thank you, God. That's all I was thinking. I was like, I was like, oh, thank you, God. Thank you, God. But I know for sure God allowed it, like, stabilized her, because we had more. This is the first week, so we still had another 2 weeks there, and we had to do a bunch of work. So I know God was like, hey, I need you guys to finish the mission. So I know He stabilized there, and I didn't know my mom was in that much pain, because she was working. We were climbing hills. We were doing a bunch of walking. We were going to merchants, discounting, like arguing with people. It was a lot of work we were doing there. I didn't know she was in that much pain, because she was cooking every night. And I was just like, Mom, like, you're good? She's like, I'm fine. But I'm gonna get to that later. Cool. So all we do is for God's glory. This mission, this is His mission, and we're going to accomplish this. And so one of our verses, 1 Thessalonians 5:24, faithful is He that calls you, and who also will do it. So pretty much just God's going to do the work. We just have to be available and be okay with the situations happening in front of us. And that's hard to do a lot of times, but whenever God calls you and puts that desire in you, He always accomplish that work. About the orphanage and how you can get more involved. Yes.
Thank you again for joining us this evening. We really appreciate it. So I'm just going to talk more about what we're doing on the ground in Congo, so you guys have a fuller picture of like what we're actually doing while we're there. And so I like to call these our 4 pillars. These are like the 4 main parts of what we're doing. And so the first one is having a loving home for the children to come into, for them to have some stability in their lives and to feel loved and welcomed. And the second would be having a valuable education, because as Joel mentioned, the country is so full of conflict that the education system is just so weak. And so we want to be able to provide that quality education for them. And then the third is having access to adequate health care. And then the fourth, which is last here, but it's actually the most important, it's our foundation in Jesus Christ. It's our love for Him, our devotion to Him, and also His love for us and how He allows us to do this work. And so this just offers a few more details about how we welcome the children into the home and what their process is through the home. And so we typically take in children between infancy and 6. And it doesn't mean that we won't take in children who are a little bit older. We just don't have the team or the capacity to be able to take in that many children at this time. And so as we grow as a ministry, we want to be able to adapt to the ebbs and flow of the journey from like childhood to adulthood. And so by the time that they're a lot older, we can start taking in more children at different ages once we're more developed. And so they'll stay there until age 18. And then once they are introduced into high school, we want to introduce like vocational and skills training programs, things like construction, plumbing, just these things listed here, so that they can have a career to start off with whenever they leave the home. And so we know that whenever,